Mine's really slow over here too. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Cycle Vision Network and the Exhaust Noise Podcast. My name's Kenny Abbott. Tonight we have a privateer road racing legend. It is Super Carl Soltisz. He's riding the Super Carl Racing 57 rider development Honda Fireblade this year, jumping off the Supersport bike onto a super bike. And so stoked to have Carl Soltisz on the show tonight. Carl, welcome to Cycle Vision Network and the Exhaust Noise Podcast. It's been a long time. We've been talking about getting together and doing stuff for a long time, and finally the night is here. So thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you got a million things going on, and you're usually riding mini bikes, when you're not working. So welcome to the podcast, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having me, Kenny. Pleasure to finally be on here and talking to you.
So let's start at the beginning. Obviously a lot of the bio and the early entry sheets and stuff that I got, being a local announcer up here, when we first ran into each other, you were doing a lot of CCS up in the Midwest region at Blackhawk Farms and MotoAmerica and stuff like that. And you were kind of stationed in Michigan, and now you've made the move over to Minnesota. What brought that change on?
So I took a new job with CF Moto over here in the Minneapolis area. So I'm going to be, or I am right now. I took it maybe 6 months ago. I think I've been here so far. I'm testing and developing calibrations for CF Moto products. So a lot of motorcycles, side-by-sides, ATVs, things like that. And yeah,
very cool. And what a lot of people may not know, I was going to say, what a lot of people may not know is the fact that you actually started as an engineer. I know we might have to end the podcast early to start all over again, but we'll see if we can ride it out for a bit. But what a lot of people don't know is engineering is actually your background.
Yeah. I didn't get started racing till after I turned 18. My parents were against it, racing dangerous. So I wasn't allowed to do it. But as soon as I turned 18, I moved out, bought a race bike, started racing, and I figured I'd go to school for engineering. I thought, it'd be a good career, and it could help me with racing as well. Learn about the motorcycles, make them faster, make them better. So right away, I went to school for engineering and got a job with Yamaha, and I started racing right after that. As soon as I turned 18, and I was going to Kettering University. It's a co-op school, so you'd work for 3 months, then you go to school for 3 months, and you alternate like that for 5 years. And I was working at Yamaha in Wisconsin, and I happened to be over there in the middle of the summer. So that's why I did CCS Blackhawk, like MotoAmerica, that region. And then, I'd go back to school in Michigan and do that for every other 3 months. And kind of stuck with engineering. I worked at Honda for a little bit after Yamaha, then put in probably 10 years with Chrysler doing calibration work there. And then switched over to Bosch two-wheel power sports, getting back into the motorcycle side of things. And now I'm at CF Moto doing it. So it's been a great little career path. There's not too many racers in MotoAmerica that are also engineers. And I think it gives me like a unique perspective and definitely some advantages. But there's also some negatives with it too. My crew doesn't always enjoy my engineering feedback as much as they just want the rider feedback sometimes. But I think it's been a big help. And it's definitely helped me afford it and, get started racing.
Yeah. And let's talk about that a little bit since you touched on it. I think from an outside perspective, a lot of people think that the racers, they think one of two things. Either the racer is really, really brilliant and understands how to set up a motorcycle, and he's telling the crew what to do with it, right? Because that sometimes happens with car racing. And or the bike is so over-engineered and that you're relying on an engineer for anything, and the rider doesn't have much input whatsoever. but having a little bit of a in between, understanding how the motorcycle works and being able to communicate well what you feel is a massive help for not only a crew chief but a mechanic. And when you're looking at tires and suspension and everything else, how does all that come together on a race weekend when you're trying to, when the first time you hit the bait or the racetrack, basically you're behind?
Yeah, so it helps a lot. So being an engineer, I know the type of feedback I'm looking for to improve whatever I'm working on. So, when I'm in the role as a rider at a MotoAmerica weekend and I'm providing feedback to my crew, I can provide what I believe is really good feedback to them. You got to describe, what exactly you're doing when you're having whatever symptoms you're trying to address or work on. So I think I can give really good feedback to them to allow them to do their jobs, make changes and, look at data and change geometry, change suspension settings, whatever, to the bike, which, yeah, as an engineer, like I would love to be, looking into all that stuff and providing my feedback, but really you can't do it all. There's just too much to do for one person. So, you really got to focus on your role and let the crew do their job. And, on a race weekend, my job's to be the rider. And yeah, I may be able to kind of give my input of what I would want to change on the bike, but really it's more just being able to provide good feedback to the crew so they can make effective changes.
Yeah, absolutely. When when I was with the Jordan team, I had an opportunity to work with several different riders, and it was interesting how the interaction with the riders and the crew chiefs were so different, even at the highest level. You take a guy like Jake Holden, and Jake Holden didn't have a ton of feedback for for his team, but he always rode at 110%. So if the bike was better, the lap time was better. If the lap time was worse, then the bike was worse, and that was the only gauge we really had. But he didn't necessarily know how to discern between. And then you get a guy like Jason Pridmore, who was so accurate with everything that he was doing with the motorcycle. What was the throttle position and lean angle and corner, and what was the bike doing, and everything. He was so incredibly good with what he was feeling that the mechanics and everybody were able to fine tune the motorcycle based on his feedback. And then we had a guy like Aaron Yates, who was very much in between. He understood how the bike worked. He wanted to work on the forks himself. He wanted to make all the adjustments himself, and he could ride the piss out of it. So it was cool working with so many different riders. It was so many different levels, and just listening to all of that communication and how the team is able to utilize all of it, because they were all fast. They all were all on the podium. They were all championship contenders, but they're all just a little bit different across the plane. And so, I know you work with a lot of young riders and talk to a lot of young riders, and I know that that you're super popular in the paddock with the riders. Actually out here, very popular with a lot of our young riders, and I'm sure that they are always asking you, hey, how do I get to the next level? How do I get into your shoes? And what's your advice to them in regards to communicating and understanding what's happening with the motorcycle, and how they communicate that to their team or their crew?
So when the part of the question you asked first, how to get to the level, my number one answer is always seat time, seat time, seat time. I think Chuck Yeager said, the best pilots are the pilots that fly the most. And same thing applies to motorcycles. The best riders or racers are the ones that race the most and ride the most. So I always encourage them to get a lot of seat time. And then when it comes to providing feedback, this is a skill you develop over time. And, it also changes with the crew you're working with. It's communication's a two-way street. So you have to know the style of communication of your crew chief or your crew or whoever you're reporting to, and what they want to hear, and how they like to hear it. And, just as much as it is important for you to say things how you're feeling and how you want to say it. But, from an engineering perspective, I always try to be as specific as possible with what I'm doing on the bike when I'm encountering whatever issue it is. So it's describing, okay, is this corner entry? Is this mid corner exit? Is it on the brakes? Am I on the gas? If I'm on the gas, is it a neutral throttle? Is it, accelerating? Is it, full stop? How much lean angle am I doing? I try to describe the situation as detailed and as accurately as possible. And then I try to describe the issue, what it is I'm feeling, where on the track I'm feeling it, and, what the negative effects of the issue are. So, maybe it's like instability and it's causing me to have to let off or not get on the gas as early as I'd want to, or I can't brake as hard or something like that. It's really important to really define the problem and define where and when it's occurring and how it's occurring, as specific as possible. And, a lot of times you may not remember it exactly, which is why it's nice to have data and you can back up with what you're feeling with data to support it. My crew likes to test me sometimes and they'll tell me they make a change, but really it's like a placebo change to see if I'm actually providing good feedback, which I like because I know, my butt dyno is not always 100% accurate, but so far this year, I've been working with a few new guys, more long-term, and so far I've been pretty accurate, which has been good to find. But yeah, it's providing feedback in a way that the guys that are receiving it can understand what you're trying to say very well, and then try to be as detailed and as specific and accurate as possible. And it's also you gotta focus on the biggest issues. You may feel a lot of little issues, but you want to focus on the ones that are going to get you the most time.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of crew, let's go back a little bit because you were kind of your own crew chief, doing your own thing for a long time. Obviously, you've got a bunch of people that have always been around you, and in the Midwest region, Mark Stiles, the TSE folks, Germany, all those guys, they're always in your corner and they've always got your back, and we always see them with you around the nationals. But then this year there was a little bit of a change with a new crew and a new motorcycle getting ready for Daytona, and obviously we'll get to where you're at in Superbike. But talk a little bit about that progression for you, riding an R6 and regional stuff, and then bumping up to a Gixxer 750, and kind of what's that progression like been for you?
Yeah, so when I first started, I got on the R6. Part of the reason was I was at Yamaha when I started racing, right? And, the R6 is just a great platform to start racing on. It's been around forever. There's tons of parts out there. So when you're getting started, it was easy to find parts and they were cheap. Also, lots of people raced them at the track. So if you didn't have something, you could often go to a competitor and get it. And there was a lot of setup knowledge out there for the bike. People had been racing it for so long that you had a good baseline to start from, and you could ask, your competitors like gearing and stuff like that, and they could give you good advice. So I raced that for a long time. And, I got really familiar with the bike. I went through tons of frames and engines, and I had accumulated a ton of parts. So when you have all that equipment and stuff, it's really easy to just continue racing because, you have so many spares and stuff already. So I was on that for probably, 10 years or more. But then, MotoAmerica went to the next gen Supersport rules, and that kind of persuaded me to make the switch because the R6, to be competitive with the next gen, you really had to build the engine quite a bit. And that often meant that you had to rebuild it quite a bit too. And for a privateer, it's not always in the budget to, rebuild an engine every round or every other round. And you're building it, super high to a high build level to be competitive. So, expensive parts, expensive build, and just economically, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to keep racing that R6. And you see that now. There's not too many. I don't think anyone racing the R6 now. If anyone's racing Yamaha, they're on the R9. But I went to the Suzuki 750 because it kind of was that next, I say privateer friendly build, because it's a 750. So to race in next gen Supersport, after you get the Team Hammer, electronics, throttle bodies that Chris Ulrich provides, you basically detune the engine, and you're only running like 80% of max power. So you can run a mostly stock engine, pretty much stock, and you can run it all season because you're detuning it. So it's not high strung. So you don't have this massive engine expense throughout the season. So it's a really budget friendly way to race middleweight in MotoAmerica. And I picked up a Team Hammer Suzuki from Chris, and it was a great built bike. He's been a great technical partner in the paddock. When you get a motorcycle from Ulrich and Team Hammer, they're there to support you, with questions, and if you need parts, you can go to them, and Chris will help me out. So he's been a tremendous resource to have racing the Suzuki for, I don't know, probably the last 5 years or so now. It's been a great bike, real low maintenance, super easy bike to hop on too. Switching from the R6, I felt pretty right at home getting on that thing, and I was immediately quicker on it. So it was a great bike. I really like it. I still have it, and I still race it. I raced the Suzuki 750 in the Daytona 200 this year. I'm going to be racing mine in the Loudon Classic later this year, doing some coaching on it. Probably some local club races here in Minnesota with CRA and stuff like that. And now moving to the 1000, I've always, you always want to transition as a rider to that highest level, that highest class. So 1000's always been in my mind. And you had mentioned Germany and Stefan and the styles. Well, back in 2017, Germany and Stefan teamed up and did the ASRA Team Challenge GTO championship, national championship, on his BMW 1000. And I got to ride that all season with him. We ended up winning it that year by a single point. It's a funny story. We actually, the last race at Daytona, I blew the engine and ran across the finish line on foot, which was a great memory. But anyway, yeah, I had a ton of fun riding that 1000. And since then, I've really, always in the back of my mind been wanting to race the 1000. But I was always thinking, tires are, you're going to have more tire expense because it's 1000. You're going to be burning up rubber, and you got to buy a new bike and, go race in these 1000 classes. Well, in the last few years, Honda came out with some really good contingency, and that caught my attention. And I've been eyeing up, getting on a Honda 1000 to race MotoAmerica so I can get some of that good Honda contingency money. And we tried to do it a little bit last year, but injury kind of put us on the sidelines. And luckily we were able to pull a program together this year with the help of Mark Young, who, runs the Honda Real Steel Superbike team in MotoAmerica. And he got a bike together for me to ride, and got a truck and trailer to transport to the race. So yeah, we're on that thing, and I got to ride it for the very first time at Road Atlanta. These pictures you're seeing, zero practice. It came together really last minute after Daytona. And we just showed up to Road Atlanta, hopped on a completely new bike, first time racing 1000 in almost like 10 years. And we decided to send it. And, the Honda it's a really great bike. I was blown away at how well it handled. And, the power takes some getting used to, things wheeling like crazy. I'm not used to it. Trying to hang on is a bit of a workout, but especially at a track like Road Atlanta, very physical track. But it was super fun. The bike was great right out of the box, and we got our best ever MotoAmerica result. We got 4th in Superbike Cup, which was sweet. And we got 12th in our first Superbike race. It was kind of wild, actually. For my very first MotoAmerica Superbike, I was gridded right next to Cam Beaubier and PJ Jacobs sitting on the grid, which was a little wild. But Yeah, super fun to see how well we did on the first round with absolutely zero practice, zero setup time on the bike. It's very encouraging. I'm looking forward to see what we can do with a little bit more seat time and getting a little bit more comfortable on the thing.
Yeah, and Mark Young's program isn't it's not like it's decades old. They've been developing it, that Honda for the last few years. Obviously, JD Beach went well on a stalker last year, and they picked up Andrew Lee this year, number 14. He's had some good success, first couple times he's been on it. And then Hayden Gillam's been trying to develop it for him for the last few years. And I was really excited when I saw them at Roebling Road prior to Daytona this year. We talked kind of behind the scenes a little bit, and it sounded like they were going to open that program up a little bit. It sounded like Honda was going to start, making some inroads into, getting some more people on some of the motorcycles. And then I ran into an old friend at Daytona who works for Honda, and he was there with a handful of Japanese friends who were over from Honda, and I took them up into a little VIP area and got a little behind the scenes scoop. So I was very well encouraged that they're going to start moving on getting more people to Honda, both through the contingency program and making the bikes available and developing parts and also their stuff. And then here we go with 57 rider development. And on the AMA side of things, a lot of people don't know Mark Young because he spent most of his career over on the ASRA Pro side of things, building ridiculously fast and reliable endurance machines. And he's one of the best engine builders, one of the best bike builders, especially on a Gixxer 750 that's ever lived in all of North America. And he rode them extremely well. I have no idea how many national championships he did, but if we were to Google it, I'm sure it's well over a dozen. Both in his personal stuff, his endurance stuff. He had some of the best riders in all of North America riding his stuff, beating the heck out of it. And along with Team Hammer, Mark Young and Vestra Racing Endurance were really the two primary endurance teams for decades and decades. But it just so happens, all that doesn't translate over to the AMA Superbike paddock, right? So a lot of people on that side of things, they kind of knew who he was because they saw him in Road Racing World every week, but they didn't really know how good he was until now. And he start, and you see the bikes that he's building and the stuff that he's putting out there. And I think he likes that role as an underdog a little bit. And I think it almost gives you guys a little bit of an advantage as well. But I'm super stoked to see you and Andrew Lee, honestly, teaming up with him because he's such a great influence. And I think that he can be a great mentor as well from a riding perspective because he's an incredible rider coach as well, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I was lucky enough to get on a team with Andrew as my teammate and Mark being the crew chief. And that's really how I got to know Mark super well. And yeah, like you said, I kind of knew of him from his endurance history, but didn't really get a chance to know him super well until then. And then the following year, I got a ride with Hayden as a teammate and work with Mark Young still. And it was great. Mark is super talented. He kind of took a similar path, I think, as me, where, he did a lot of this on his own, was a privateer, kind of built this all up on his own and, gained all this knowledge, this engine building knowledge from doing it hands-on. And he's been very successful. Definitely won a ton of endurance championships. He's built, engines for me, and they've been phenomenal engines, never had any issues, make good power. I mean, you can see what Hayden's capable of on Mark's bikes. It's been very impressive. And I was very happy to get teamed up with Mark again this year with the new 57 rider development. I'd been talking to Mark about trying to get on a Honda, and he already was working with Andrew and Hayden this year, but he had been wanting to do kind of like a little bit of a satellite team, and that's where 57 rider development comes along. He's been coaching forever. He coaches at the Mid-Ohio school, and he's a phenomenal coach. And he gives me advice all the time, and I'm very thankful for that. And he's helped me out even from the building the bike side and the riding the bike side. But we're working together this year with 57 rider development. We have another rider, a Talent Cup rider that's joining me under the canopy. We're going to be riding together for the first time at Barber, which is very exciting. So yeah, we get to fly the 57 rider development banner, and we already have one race under our belt, and first race with 57 RD, and we already got our best result ever for Superbike Cup and Superbike. So it's been awesome, and I'm looking forward to continuing to grow it, and helping Mark even further cement his legendary status in the paddock. We're going to be going to the Loudon Classic this year together, and do the whole MotoAmerica Superbike Cup. So we're sitting third in the championship already after the first round, and I'm really excited about that, and really think we've got a lot of potential to do very well this year with Mark on board. His main focus is running the Real Steel Superbike team, but a couple hours out of each day he spends going over data with me, and answering any questions we have, and helping us with bike setup and changing calibrations and stuff on the bike. So it's been a huge help already, and so I'm looking forward to continuing to work with him the rest of the year.
Yeah, I love it. And I apologize for my internet's on and off. What I realized through half the process is that my computer automatically connected to the family Wi-Fi, which of course everybody's on it watching movies and live streaming something else. And so now my camera just cut out and everything else. So we're gonna limp through this, and then we're gonna do a proper version here at some point, Carl. But I wanted to show everybody when most people encounter you at the racetrack, this is kind of what we see, right?
Oh yeah, that's the I always joke like I'm a level 87 master packer. I can put a lot of stuff into a van. I've been racing out of a van for pretty much my whole career, and only the last few years, maybe 5 years or so, have I been lucky enough to work with some teams in the MotoAmerica paddock that have been able to do transport for me. But when I'm not on a team and I'm doing my own thing, it's load that van up as much stuff as we can fit in there and run it. Sometimes you just gotta send it with what you got at the time. I always say it's like, do what you can with what you got while you can. And, that's what we do. I was just going to say,
and I don't know if that's Roebling or if that's pre-Roebling, but that might be Roebling Road back behind you there.
Yeah. So that was going down to Roebling before Daytona last year. That was the Roebling test. So yeah, I loaded up everything, and we were able to get 11th place in the Daytona 200 last year, racing out of that van.
Love it.
And I joke, I can save money for racing by, I don't have to buy any tie down straps. If there's no space for anything to move, you don't need to
you just jam it all in there. Yeah. I love it. Speaking of Roebling, when I saw you at Roebling before the Daytona 200, we were both on our way to Daytona. And this was the bike that we saw. So talk a little bit about this GSXR 750, how this came about.
Yeah, so a couple of the guys I have on my crew this year, Kevin and Craig, they had met Malcolm Ashley, who was teamed up with Stu, and they're doing Mar Racing, Astro, Hippo, Suzuki. And they put us into contact, and I was looking, taking this new CF Moto job in Minnesota, a little bit further away from the racetracks and stuff. I didn't really have the time with the new job to be driving to all around myself out of a van, which I had done the last time I had raced. So I was really looking, pushing hard to get on a team, and we got into contact with them, and we thought we'd give it a go for Daytona. So teamed up with them, did a test at Jennings before Daytona, and then again we rode at Roebling with the bike, and then tried it out at Daytona. And that's how that went. It was a good experience. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a mechanical during the race at Daytona, but we rode very well, I thought. We were fighting there for the top 10. And had good pace. And if we didn't have a little bit of mechanical problem, I think we definitely would have been in the top 10. So a little bit of a letdown because of that. But somehow we still managed to finish 20th, even though we took like double the pit stops. We basically could only go like 7 laps before we had to come in. But we finished, and it was the team's first ever Daytona 200 finish. So I was very proud to get that for him. And to get 20th, that was not bad considering the issues we rode through. But then, decided to switch it over to the 1,000 after that.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. You know, I mean, obviously being from the Midwest now and watching, announcing all the Midwest races up here, I do quite a bit of rooting for the Midwest guys at Daytona, both in the spring and in the fall. And so I was super psyched to see how well you had qualified. I was super psyched to see, everybody that you had on the team ready to go down there. And, and then the race kind of gets going. You're like, where'd Carl go? And I see you making pit stop after pit stop. I was like, oh, dude, like what's happening? And clearly, that something's happening at that point. The problem at Daytona is, number one, the pit limit speed. We used to not have pit limit speeds at Daytona. So you could come flying down pit road at 160 miles an hour if you wanted to and get into the pits. But man, when you hit that pit limiter at pit in and it's like a half mile to pit out, that's a long time to be on that pit speed limiter. And you just lose so much time. The fact that you even finished 20th in that race was pretty amazing, to be honest. And also, in my opinion, just kind of shows the resiliency that you and your team had. It would have been so easy just to quit and go, we're done. And but you guys kept going, and you were so close so many years. And you and I talked before Daytona. We both really thought like this was the year you're going to be in the top 10, especially given the times and qualifying and everything else that you had going for you. So what is this? So now that you're on the 57 rider development team on the Honda, what does this do for next year? Are you still open to doing something next year, or does the Honda Superbike program take you out of an opportunity to do the 200?
Oh, no, I'm definitely going to still do the 200.
Well, no, I'm in. Count me in.
Yeah, unfinished business with that race. I really enjoy that race. For me, it's an iconic race. It's a huge race, lots of eyes on it. I grew up seeing that and thought, how cool it would be to race that. And seeing the potential I've shown there over the years, I'm hungry for a really, really good result, and I know we can do it. We just need, all the stars to align, and I know we can get a good result there. So absolutely, I will be going back. I still own, my own personal GSX-R 750 that I got from Team Hammer. And I will be racing that in the 200 again next year. You can count on that. And this year I'll be racing in the Loudon Classic as well. So I have no plans to get rid of that bike. I plan to keep it so we can race the 200. I know we can do top 10. I think we can do a lot better even. So we're going to keep doing it until we stop getting faster, till we stop having fun. That's what I always say.
And you've done the Loudon Classic in the past, right? Or no?
Oh yeah, I've pretty much every year since they started it back up. As a privateer, I'm chasing the money a lot of times. So
right.
Loudon Classic pays the most, so I'm doing that one. Daytona pays the second most, I'm doing that one. And now I'm chasing the Honda contingencies. So if there's a big purse out there, you'll see Super Carl going for it.
Love it. You've been so popular with the fans, and you're able to sell a lot of merch with the fans, and people always want stickers and t-shirts and hats and stuff. What is it about that and obviously you go out of your way for fans when they come by? Talk about that experience a little bit. What does that do for you? And what do you think it is that they're attracted to there?
Oh man. So I think, what it is that they're attracted to is, I think the same thing I was attracted to when I was a kid growing up. It's, as a kid, I had thought all these races and these racers were so cool and how amazing it is. And, I think now that I'm doing it, I realize how lucky I am and how cool it is to be able to do this. And I'm still a giant kid at heart. So, I'm loving being there, and you know, it's a ton of fun for me, and I feel like it's a privilege to be out there racing. And you know, I see all these fans looking up to me, and all these younger riders looking up to me. So I think it's really important to set a good example for them, and return the favor. Like, I know as a kid how much it meant to me when a racer, you know, signed something for me or took his time to say hi and talk to me. So I feel, you know, I got to return the favor now that I'm in the racer shoes, right? And you know, I think the kids, they love the Super Carl thing. You know, it's a whole vibe. You know, not too many racers in the MotoAmerica paddock, you know, run their own team and get to come up with their own like bike colors and their own logos and all this stuff. And you know, I came up with Super Carl racing. My old boss at Yamaha started calling me Super Carl back in the day because I was jumping cars on motorcycles and selling the TV, selling the clips to TV shows to actually buy my first race bike. But anyway, yeah, I took that nickname and I ran with it, and I think the kids love it because it's Super Carl, right? It's just it's easy to remember. Unlike Carl Soltisz, like, who wants to remember that? But Super Carl, everyone can remember that. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like the fans are the reason I do it. You know, it inspire the kids, you know, see how happy it makes them. You know, I feed on their energy. It makes me happy. You know, fans want some wheelies. You give them the wheelies, right? You wave at everyone on the cool down laps. It's really important to me to give back because I kind of feed off their energy just as much as they feed off mine.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so you know, I have a link to your website in the bio. So if anybody wants to get anything, they can visit the website there. So anybody watching this, you can actually get all your cool Super Carl merch and stickers and all that stuff from the website when it's all available. So there was last year you had a good result at Daytona, even though you had an injury that, you know, for some people may have been, you know, maybe at least a season-ending injury, if not, you know, maybe a career-ending injury. I'm going to show something I found on your Facebook page, but talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's
a clean break.
I think that's the second surgery actually. So yeah, I was back in December of 24. I was out in California riding a supermoto bike just for training over the off season. And I had a brake failure on the fastest part of the track. It was an FS 450, full size one. And yeah, fastest part of the track, all of a sudden, no front brakes. So I went off the track very fast. I broke my right hand and badly broke my left arm. At the same time, it was a compound fracture, like bones through the skin. Definitely my worst injury I've ever had. So I immediately had surgery out there. And that was like mid-December. And so my first thought was, oh man, you know, I got to be ready in 3 months for Daytona, right? And my doctor's like, yeah, it'll take about 3 months to heal. So I'm like, perfect. We're racing Daytona. And right before Daytona, he's like, okay, yeah, I think you're good to race. You know, we got the hardware in there, should be good to go. So we raced it. And you know, it's a long race. And then I also did Road Atlanta. And then this was last year. And then my next race was going to be Road America, and I had a follow-up like appointment to get updated x-rays and see how my arm looked. And I knew like my arm wasn't feeling the best. You know, I've had some broken like wrists and stuff before that didn't quite heal, and I kind of knew what it felt like. And I was like, yeah, I don't think my arm's quite healed yet. Well, we got the x-rays and found out at some point I had snapped the titanium plate, one of them holding my arm together, and both bones were still broken. Like you could like move my arm and see the bones just move. It was really gross. But found that out literally like Wednesday before I was supposed to race at Road America. Like I was already at Road America, and I had like a virtual call with my surgeon, and he's like, yeah, you definitely going to need another surgery. So I'm like, well, I'm already at Road America, so we're going to race anyway. So we did that. And then actually the Loudon Classic was going to be my next one. And that's good money race. And I was like, I kind of need to raise some money for surgery here. So we went and raced Loudon, and then had the second surgery. And at that point, it was much longer recovery because it was the second surgery, and because basically the bones hadn't healed for like 6 months at that point. So yeah, if you're looking at this picture, the right bone, the ulna, that was the plate I had snapped. So they had to go back in, remove all the old hardware, and turns out I broke a bunch of screws off in there too. So they had to easy out screws out of my bones. But they put in much longer plates, much bigger plates, and screwed it all back together. And I had to miss the rest of last season after that surgery. And let me tell you, it's no fun having a broken right arm and a broken broken right hand and broken left arm at the same time. It's not great. Yeah. Luckily it was over Christmas, that initial injury. So I was like, Mom, I'm coming home, for Christmas.
Mama, I'm coming home. I had carpal tunnel surgery. So I had one right after the other. So it's like I had, I couldn't let them put both in a cast at the same time. You're completely useless at that point. So I got to have at least one good hand for a while. And so I mean, luckily enough for you, you were able to do that. And for those that want to see more pictures, you can find those pictures on Carl's Facebook page. So dive into his social media, find everything, and even the broken plate is in there, right? Is that what I saw?
Oh yeah, there's a good picture of the snapped plate. Like if you go back to right before Road America time last year, I think I posted it right after Road America. But yeah, after the second surgery, I basically had to heal all the way up until right before Daytona this year. So I think 2 weeks before Daytona this year was my first time riding in like a year. And luckily the arm was okay, and we made it through Daytona, and it's still holding up okay. So hopefully this will be the last time we have to have surgery on it.
Knock on plastic, knock on something, right?
Yeah.
So the next race on the calendar is Barber Motorsports Park, which I know you've got a lot of laps around Barber, and it's a totally unique facility, but you did well at Road Atlanta. It's very similar in that a lot of blind corners, very fast sweeping corners. And then you're always very fast at Road America, which is next on the calendar here at the end of the month. Talk a little bit about Barber and Road America, and what does that do for your confidence with the motorcycle and the team and everything else?
Yeah, so Barber coming up. Barber is always a fun track. It's beautiful, super smooth. I think it's going to be really interesting racing on 1,000. I've never raced there on 1,000, and it's got a lot of elevation. So I know one thing I was fighting at Atlanta was wheelies, a lot of wheelies, trying to keep the front end down. And I think that's going to be another thing I'm probably going to be struggling with and trying to work on at Barber. But I do really like the track, and I have gotten some good results there. Especially if it rains there. I seem to do pretty well there in the rain. So kind of would be nice if we got some rain, but I'm looking forward to see what we can do on it. It's going to be a fun track. It's probably going to be another handful to, wrestle 1,000 around there, but should be good. It'll be just my second time riding the bike, but that's double the seat time. So I'm looking forward to that. And then Road America, I absolutely love that place. That's heaven on earth for me. Favorite track, favorite place on earth. And man, I've ridden the 1,000 there, I think once before, and it's amazing. It turns it into like a regular size track. Normally it's 4 miles. It's the longest track to do, but on 1,000, it makes it like a normal track. So I'm really excited. The area I feel I'm very strong in is braking. And Road America has a lot of hard braking zones. And with 1,000 speed, like the braking's going to be even more important. So I'm really looking forward to that. I go well there, and I think on the 1,000, it's just going to suit my strengths even more. So yeah, mark your calendars for Road America. I think that's going to be a really good one.
Dude, I can't wait. I cannot wait to see you and your local fans and everything else at Road America, which is really only in a couple weeks, right? Because Barber is this weekend, and then a couple weeks to Road America. Dude, I cannot wait to see you at Road America on 1,000 with everything going on, and just all the locals just drooling over, Super Carl. I hope you've like restocked all your merchandise bins, because you're going to sell out of everything up there. So God bless you, man. Our boy Chris Simcoe left a comment. He says, so pumped for you to race BSB rounds this year. And then what rounds of BSB are you going to do? Which brings us back to the fact that was part of the deal on the Gixxer 750. Is that deal still in place now that you're on the Fireblade, or what's happening with all that?
Yeah, so that was the original plan. We were going to do like a handful of MotoAmerica Supersport rounds on that GSXR 750, and then a few BSB rounds at the end of the year on it with the ASRA Hippo Suzuki team. But switching to the 1,000, we basically nixed that plan. So unfortunately, as of now, no plan to go race BSB anymore.
What a bummer.
Yeah, but I'm excited to be doing the full MotoAmerica Championship. With the Suzuki team, we were only going to do a handful of rounds. So I'm really excited to do the full championship here. And I think there's still some opportunity to get over to BSB, but we'll have to explore that at another time.
Right. Yeah. Let's see if this will pop up there. So Rick Hen says, Super Carl, go. Where the guy's a bunch of little capes and stuff. So he was super, yeah, man, he was super pumped for you. And then Simcoe says, "What's up, my peoples?" Two legends right there. So I think the legends are you and your mortal, and you being Super Carl. Those are the two legends. You and yourself. So
yeah, but it's funny though. You talk about Road America coming up quick. It's gonna be a crazy next few weeks for me. I'm closing on a new house tomorrow here in Minnesota, and then I fly out the next day for Barber. And right after Barber, Sunday night, I'm flying to Arizona to go test some side-by-sides for CF Moto. So I'll be out there all week. And then I come back and I immediately go to Road America because I'm going to ride with Czars on Monday and Tuesday ahead of the MotoAmerica weekend. I'll be coaching on Tuesday and then testing on my own on Monday. So anyone who's going to be in the area, come on out, ride with Czars. You can get some coaching from me before MotoAmerica. And then, I race MotoAmerica, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then hurry back home to move into the new house.
Right on. Well, if you need anybody to test the new CF Moto pit bikes, I'm a really good pit bike guy, just kind of bouncing back and forth between pit lane and the crow's nest and stuff like that. So I got
an electric one you can try out, little CR2 XE.
I might be up there for Czars. Originally I was supposed to announce with Chris Simcoe out at Summit Point Raceway on Memorial Day weekend, and they just canceled. So I was so sometime this week I'm going to call Jessica to see if she still needs me for them. I usually help her on that Monday, Tuesday, and then just stay up there all week. For MotoAmerica, but I just got a new job working for Johnny Chef and the guys at MCC and Ducati, KTM, Triumph Shop here in Chicago, which is also Motorworks Chicago, which is also Orange Cat Racing. So I'll be doing some media up there. So I'm kind of bouncing all over the place this week, and I'm trying to figure out, do I spread myself even thinner by trying to go up there and then come back for work on Tuesday and then go back up there Thursday night? Do I just take the day off?
I'm glad I'm not the only one with a crazy schedule.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little nuts, but yeah. So Chris Simcoe's just sending all kinds of fun stuff. He see those pop up. Yeah, so he thinks I'm a legend too. But anyway, but yeah, man, I'm super psyched for Road America. So if someone wants to, obviously people can reach out to you for coaching at czars on that Tuesday, do they go through czars or do they contact you specifically? Do they call Jessica?
Yeah, I would say reach out to Jessica for that day specifically. You know, with the way the MotoAmerica rules are and stuff, to be able to ride that Tuesday, I have to be coaching. And Jessica was kind enough, you know, to allow me to ride with Czars this year and do some coaching. I was just coaching this past weekend at DCTC here in Minnesota. So yeah, that Tuesday, just sign up for Czars, and yeah. We can ride together in the advanced class. I'm going to be doing some one-on-one with some people and general coaching. And then if, you know, you can't make it that Tuesday, but you still want to get some coaching from me, you can go to my website, which is, you know, carlsoltisz.com or supercarlracing.com. And you can fill out our coaching form and you can get private one-on-one coaching from me throughout the year. We'll find, you know, a day for me to come out to whatever track and do some coaching with you.
Fantastic. Yeah. And for those that haven't been part of private coaching, what are some of the things that you'll work with them on through the day?
You know, it all depends on the individual rider. So, you know, I like to do, you know, just one-on-one coaching or, you know, at most maybe two people at the same time, because it really allows me to focus on that one particular rider and find out what their needs are, where, you know, there's the biggest opportunities for improvement, and see what we can work on to get them going faster as quickly as possible. So it all depends on the rider, you know, what bike they're on, you know, where they're at in their career and their riding. But yeah, I mean, we work on pretty much everything. We can go over lines, body position, you know, different techniques. Being an engineer, I can also speak to the whole setup side, how to set up bikes, you know, how to take notes at race weekend. You know, being a privateer, I can go over like how to help get sponsors, you know, look for sponsors, put together sponsorship proposals, you know, really just any and every question a racer may have about racing professionally in MotoAmerica or even at the club level in the United States. I'm a tremendous resource because I've been doing it for so long, and I'm one of the very few riders that has this background of calibrating motorcycles, you know, running the whole race team, going after sponsors, building the bikes, you know, setting the bikes up and racing at the high level. So I can kind of speak to a lot of it, and a lot of the students and riders I work with have made significant gains in a short amount of time because I've gone through their struggles. I've figured all this out, you know, on my own. I've done it the hard way. So when I see people struggling, it's like, I know because I've been there and I've had those struggles. So I can usually quickly identify, you know, areas where they have the biggest opportunity to improve and address them quickly. Cause I know what worked for me, and I've known what's worked for my friends, and it works for everyone, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I did a lot of coaching in the past with, you know, Jason Pridmore and Star School and stuff like that, and now with Motovid that's local. And what we see most of the time is simple body position makes a massive difference in just efficiency, right? You know, when you're doing 15 or 20-minute track day sessions, that's one thing. But when you're in when you're in a feature race like Supersport or Superbike, and then you've got a couple a day, maximizing the efficiency of motion, so limiting the emotion on the bike and getting up and back and, you know, side to side, all those different things matter. And just body position in general can help, you know, make people be so much more efficient, which saves energy, which allows you to have more energy, more power at the end of the race instead of, you know, only 15, 20 minutes into the race, because that's what we're used to doing for track days, right? Or even short regional races usually aren't more than 15 or 20 minutes long, if that, right? And so you know, so get a hold of Carl, get a hold of Jessica Zaleski at Czars, and sign up, and you know, let Carl run you around Road America for a day. I guarantee it's going to make you better, faster, more efficient, you know, stronger. And I couldn't believe, you know, when I first started coaching with Jason, we were usually doing the Monday, Tuesday after the nationals with the Star School. And, you know, so we had guys like like you and me and, all these privateers that would stay after. And sometimes their lap times at the end of Monday would be a second and a half, 2 seconds faster than their qualifying time over the weekend. And I think a lot of people take for granted the fact that the guys that are running on that level don't have much else to learn. Like, yeah, we can all go a little bit faster, but we just tweaked technique a little bit, and all of a sudden they were a second, 2 seconds faster on the racetrack. And as you know, 2 seconds a lap on a racetrack may be the difference between 20th and 10th, right?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's a massive difference. Yeah, if you can find 2 seconds, that's amazing. Yeah.
So Simcoe also wanted to ask, are you still working with Malcolm?
So it's funny, we're actually going to be pitted next to each other here at Barber. Craig, who's on my crew, is also going to be helping Malcolm with some data and stuff. So not officially we're going to be together, but there's definitely going to be some interaction still. We're still on good terms. So yeah, not officially, not racing for Malcolm and Hippo Suzuki anymore, but definitely still involved and have good interactions with him.
Those are really cool guys. Ran into them obviously at Roebling, the pre-Daytona test, and then at Daytona, and they just seem like a super good crew and super fun and easy to be around. A couple British guys, right? Just having fun, being at the racetrack, being around motorcycles and everything.
Oh, so, yeah.
It seemed like a cool group of guys. And then Troy Bain says, always enjoyed seeing Carl coach at G&J on the minis. Good luck at Barber.
Yeah, definitely did a lot of coaching at G&J. I've always said it's G&J Cartway, and I think it's Camden, Ohio. Man, it has one of the best values in the country for motorcycle track riding. You could I think it's like $10 and you can go ride like 4 or 5 hours there. And they just repaved it. They got some great curbs. It's this, it's kind of like a big go-kart track. It's a really good supermoto track. And OMRL, the Ohio Mini Road Racing League, runs down there, as does Great Lakes Supermoto, one of my long-term sponsors. So yeah, if you're in the Midwest area and you've got some supermotos or some mini bikes, go hit up G&J. You're not going to get a better value for track time than that track. And it's a great little go-kart track. So yeah, it's a good time coaching down there.
Since we're hitting up all the people that are that help us go fast, talk about some of your sponsors. KYT you've had for a couple of years now, great sponsor with Tim Calhoun and those guys.
Yeah, KYT, man, I think I've been with them like 4 or 5 years now. Love their helmets. I run them everywhere, dirt helmets, street helmets. They're phenomenal. Shout out to Butters, who's always at the track. Ryan, he's always taking care of me and everyone else running KYT, putting on fresh tear-offs, cleaning our helmets for us. I feel bad because apparently I'm like the sweatiest guy in the paddock, which I believe. I always give him a drenched helmet, and he always back to me just mints like fresh tear-offs. Very nice. So shout out to Butters. Thanks for taking care of me, and Brandon Creed too. And everyone at KYT who's been a huge help. They're a great sponsor, great helmet, great group of guys. So yeah, big shout out to them. Also Dunlop, man, I think they're my longest sponsor. I've been running their tires forever. Love them. And yeah, we have to buy them for MotoAmerica, but I run them in the club stuff, and they're phenomenal. Corey, she's been a big supporter of my program, and the tires are great. They're always working on them. Developed right here in the U.S., so it's great to be supported by an American company that invests heavily in our sport. Big shout out to them. And I mentioned Great Lakes Supermoto. They're Supermoto series based in Michigan, but they run all over the Great Lakes region. Big shout out to them and Will at Wild Manufacturing. And he makes a lot of custom Supermoto parts, custom gun parts. He's a machinist and does some awesome work. So big shout out to him. Man, I got to give a shout out to Mark, and he's got me connected with Vesra brake pads. I've been running them. They're very good brake pads. Shout out to those guys for supporting us. man, blanking every time we got to come up, remember all the sponsors, it's tough. I swear, like one of these days I'm going to have like a cheat sheet on my leather so I can just like look, during the interviews.
So back in the day, what used to happen is we used to have to carry an ID card that had like our blood type and all that stuff on it. So there was a little pocket in
yeah.
Pocket inside the zipper.
Speaking of Bison Track, thank you, Bison. They're a long-term sponsor. They make my leathers, and man, I have put those leathers to the test a lot of times. Many damn it Carl moments, and they've held up great. So yeah, perfect Bison logo. Shout out. Thank you, Bison. Rob and Tasha. Yeah, I love them. Once you go custom leathers, you never go back. And Bison's super awesome about customizing my leathers to give me the awesome design I want. And I'm always switching up my design. So shout out to them and Morgan, who's been doing a lot of the design work for me there. She's been great. And also Sage Tailoring. They're always at the track when I rip a hole or scuff up my leathers from rolling around on the dirt too much. They paint them up, they get them fixed right, any alterations I need. So shout out to Sage Tailoring as well. And I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. I'm sure there is, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but thank you to all the sponsors too. And I've had a lot over the years that I wouldn't be here today without. So yeah, another shout out I want to give Mark Stiles, you mentioned earlier. Man, he was very first person to help me out at the racetrack. He saw me, I forget what I was doing, probably, didn't have an easy up, was just baking in the sun, didn't have like tire warmers, nothing, and struggling. I think my van battery had died. I like couldn't leave the track, and Mark, Dad, he has saved my butt more times than I can count. And the whole Styles family, Jane, Megan,
good people,
all the good people, Scotty, they've done so much for me. TSE, Trackside Suspension Engineering, definitely have to give them a shout out. They've been phenomenal, and all my crew, my crew are underpaid and overworked. And hey, speaking of, hey, Stefan, hey, Germany. Yeah. Stefan's been amazing. Huge help. I'll always go to him for advice. And, I love having him in my corner. He's a good voice of reason for me. So yeah, shout out to
comedy relief. He's good comedy relief also.
Oh yeah, he is for sure. It's funny. You don't think that out of the Germans, right? Oh yeah, Sam, I'll be there. I'll be at the Classic. Definitely.
Yep, we talked about that a little bit. Sam, if you want to see us talk about that, you got to go back and start at the beginning. And again, I apologize for the low res. My computer connected to the wrong Wi-Fi. I've actually got like my own Wi-Fi here in the office specifically for streaming and everything else. And for whatever is happening with my USB, it didn't connect that. It ended up disconnecting my camera and everything else. So we're limping through it, and there's a little bit of a delay because of all that. So I apologize to everybody, but we'll jump on. One of the things I definitely want to do is get with you at Road America when you've got everything. Are you going to have a new suit for Road America?
So it's funny. I've actually, and I just thought of one more.
This will be like your third suit for the year, right?
So also shout out to Race Tech Titanium. They're a new sponsor this year, but they've hooked us up with a lot of sweet titanium hardware for the bike, which I'm really excited about. They have all sorts of cool colors, and they're helping my bike get down to the minimum weight, which is great because I'm kind of heavy as a rider. So shout out to them. But to answer your question, so I've got my suit. It's the right colors and everything. The problem is the bike isn't the right colors yet. We just got the bike, right? So it came together last minute. We didn't have time to paint it for Road Atlanta, so it was red. It was gonna be all done and ready to go for Barber, but there was a little mix up at the painter, and there were two sets of bodywork, and they flipped the colors. So my bodywork got painted the wrong color, and this got painted the wrong color. So we're not gonna have the right bike colors until Road America. But shout out to REB Graphics, came up with a sick graphic kit for the bike, which is ready to go. Just need the paint now. So look at Road America. We'll finally have the full matching kit, helmet, leathers, and the bike will match. But yeah, we're going to be looking like that at Barber again, unfortunately. The Honda red, another red Honda. But
it wasn't so bad at Daytona, right? It was.
Yeah, I love the yellow.
So
I love the Daytona livery here with the blue too. Very sick. My suit, actually, I had a yellow suit to match, but because of the whole Iran war, it got stuck overseas and didn't have it for Daytona, unfortunately. And then I switched away from that program, so I got this new yellow suit that I'm not even wearing. But this purple suit, purple and yellow, that's going to be the one I'm going to be running this season. And we have a really sweet color scheme we're going to roll out. You'll see it at MotoAmerica for the first time. But it matches my my 95 Honda CBR 900 RR throwback.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it. It's going to be super sick. I just love the 90s color schemes so much. They're rad.
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually, I have some elderly neighbors that live across the street from me, and they have an old 90s CBR 600 in the same colors, the purple and yellowish, kind of colorway. They won't sell it to me. They won't uncover it. They won't let me look at it. They
don't even look at it. Yeah, I've got a 600 F3 as well. It's a 96, and there you go. Yeah, I dig it. Yeah.
Yeah, I raced when they were new. I raced an F2 and an F3, so kind of back to back years.
I'm really tempted to go vintage race them, but haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. Maybe one day.
Love it. Yeah. Hey, Mid Ohio's coming up, right? You get a chance to ride Mid Ohio Vintage Weekend with ASRA prior to the Pro Weekend.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do that. Normally I do, but they also have the Lightning on the Wolf race that weekend in Wisconsin, and I'm a lot closer to that now. I might do that instead. But I think I might be bringing my 95 900 RR to the Czars track day before MotoAmerica, and I think I might have to take that thing out for spin Monday, Tuesday.
Oh my God, that would be a blast, wouldn't it?
Right? Yeah, sweet pictures on the thing at MotoAmerica.
One of the things I know Simcoe's watching. I know one of the things that Simcoe would want me to ask you is, because your nickname is Super Carl, what are some of your what would be your oops, I got the comment up there for some reason. What would be your superpower, Carl? If you had superpowers, what would be your superpower?
Well, early in my career, I always joked that, I could just absolutely crash my brains out and not be hurt. Like I was invincible. Man, I got the money to start racing and buy my first race bike because I decided to just build some jumps and start jumping pocket bikes over cars. And I wouldn't build landing ramps. I would just eat shit on the landing, and never got hurt. And early in my career, I started racing sport bikes, and I didn't discover like supermotos and minis till much later. So, I learned by throwing the sport bikes down the road. So I think one season I crashed like 14 times. And I just wouldn't get hurt, so always joke that probably be invincibility, especially from motorcycle crashes.
There you go. Chris's is always teleportation. And so, so with your busy schedule, right, just being able to show up, and get back to work, right?
Oh, that'd be amazing. I would pay obscene amounts of money to be able to just teleport, not have to fly or drive anywhere.
Yeah, done. Especially if you think about, if you're going to be doing the BSB rounds, right? Like finish on Sunday afternoon at BSB, boom, you're back in Minnesota, ready to go to work next.
Go race the Phillip Island,
see if motos around.
Go hit Le Mans, hit all these sweet tracks.
Yeah,
I would do it all. I'd be all over the place. Go to Japan, Motegi,
Yeah. Well, and the 8 hour. Have you ever had an opportunity or anyone ask you to race the 8 hour Suzuka?
Nope, but I'll officially put it out there right now. If anyone needs a teammate, I have a phenomenal endurance racing pedigree. I never crash, knock on wood. And yeah, we've won some championships, and I would absolutely love to go race that. So if anyone needs a teammate who's going to be fast and not throw it down the road,
who's been really fast there in the past is your pseudo teammate Andrew Lee.
Oh yeah. I mean, Andrew's a great rider. He's phenomenal. Andrew, you need a teammate.
Need to get you guys on a Fireblade over there and
let's do it. Mark Young, if you're watching this, Motegi trip.
Yeah. And you know, one of the and you know, there's some good connections over there.
Yeah.
Morawaki, Midori Morawaki.
Okay.
She's a big fan of American racers over there. She's helped, you know, Pridmore and those guys, and you know, she could probably find you a decent ride over there. And I'm pretty sure she knows Mark from his years racing Suzuki's and stuff like that. Do you know Midori Morawaki? Do you know who that is?
I know of that person, but
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing. She's the granddaughter of Pops Yoshimura.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay. More you know.
Little history. So she's the granddaughter of Pops Yoshimura, and she's essentially the figurehead of Morawaki Racing, who previously was the Moto 2 spec bike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's an amazing human. And but yeah, super well connected. She came over one year, so she was very good friends because of the whole Yoshimura connection with Jason Pridmore and Richie Alexander and all those guys when we were all with the Jordan team. And so we invited her to come over and hang out with us at Daytona and gave her a hotel room and all that good stuff. And so she shows up, and I was out with her getting her credentials, you know, out at the credential office at Daytona. And all of the Japanese engineers know exactly who she is, and they would bow to her. They would stop what they were doing, no matter where they were at. I mean, whether it was in the credential line or on pit road or walking through the garage, people would stop and bow to her. And it was interesting because I'd never been around anything like that before. But then you think of, oh, okay, like this is the lineage, this is the DNA lineage of who she is. And it makes perfect sense that that would happen, whether she was, you know, head of, you know, Morawaki engineering or not. And so anyway, it was just really, really cool, but an amazing human. And she's so well connected with everything Japanese superbike and everything, you know, motorcycle racing in that part of the world. And then, you know, to understand the trickle down effect of what that does and who she is globally. But anyway, there's some connections there, so we need to figure that out. But having you and Andrew on a Suzuka bike, on a Suzuka super bike, would be pretty darn cool.
That would be sweet. You know, I think last year or the year before, I had my leathers with a big rising sun on it. I'm all about Japan. I love the culture. I've always found myself rooting for Japanese riders and like MotoGP and everything. I absolutely love to get over there and race sometime.
I bet Mark has some good connections over there. I bet.
Oh yeah, he definitely does. I'm gonna put a bug in his ear about it.
Yeah, and Andrew does as well. Between you and Andrew and Mark, I'm sure there's something there. So yeah, super exciting. Well, Carl, I know we don't have the best connection. I appreciate you hanging in there, and I appreciate you making time for some idiot in Chicago to talk motorcycles. But dude, you always have so much energy, and there's so much energy around you all the time. And if you're not already following Carl on social media, he's a great follow because he's always got, you know, great videos and good stuff. And make sure you get some Super Carl merch. And on the way out, I think we've already thanked all your sponsors, or most of them anyway. Anybody else you can think of that you want to go down the list one more time before we break off?
Oh man,
put you on the spot.
I appreciate you asking me again. Shout out definitely to Taya, Pop Shadow Decals. She came through last minute for us just to get us the stickers that you did see on that red bike earlier. She came through last minute, got us number plates, got us the big Super Carl sticker for the side. And I mean, this was last minute, like the day of. So big shout out to her. Thank you, Taya, so much. And Brett, yeah, I see you're on. What's up, Brett? Thanks to Brett. You know, he drove the truck and trailer down to Road Atlanta for us, and he's part of the crew. So shout out to Brett. Big shout out to my main boy, Josh Kiefer. He's been with me for probably the last 4 years now, maybe longer. He works his butt off all weekend. He's my main guy I'm leaning on every weekend. He's been through hell and back a few times on some weekends. I remember one time at Mid-O, he must have changed fork springs, I don't know, 20 times. So got to give a shout out to him, and also shout out to other crew this year, Craig and Kevin. Thank you guys for all you do. Looking forward to ripping at Barber. And I want to give a shout out to Jason Kehoe as well, who came down and crewed Daytona for us. Jason's always been a tremendous asset to the team. And yeah, just thanks to everyone who supports us. You know, there's so many people that come up to me on a race weekend and wish me luck that I know from, you know, club racing in the Midwest or from, you know, seeing them at these various tracks. And it means so much when you guys come up to me at the track and wish me luck. Like that's the fuel for my fire. And, you know, I've been chasing the dream since day one, and we're going to keep doing it. And, you know, I think it's going to pay off one of these days. We're going to get some really good results, and we're chipping away. We're getting better every year. We're getting faster every year, and we're going to keep doing it. You know, keep on keeping on. So thanks to everyone for supporting me.
Absolutely. And you're always the fan favorite. And so, you know, good for you, man. Really appreciate you. And whether they come up and see you or not, you know that all the folks here in the Midwest region that race here, they know that you're there. They know you're a Midwest guy. They know that that you are their guy representing in those classes and stuff. So yeah, man, keep up the good work, keep up the hard work. You know, suck to not see you, you know, get your best result at Daytona, because this felt like the year, right? But there's always
Daytona for you, though. You know,
there's always next year, and that's it, isn't it? Yep. I mean, like Daytona, no matter how prepared you are getting down there, no matter how much work you put in, man, it's Daytona. You know, you look at, I mean, I felt so bad this year. I mean, number one, I felt bad for you, and you know, as much as I wanted, you know, Josh Herron to win for the fourth time, or for the fifth time, but the fourth time in a row, just for the historical sake of that, because I don't know that that'll ever happen again in history, on the same motorcycle for 4 years and 4 years in a row, and like just all the things that come with that. As much as I wanted to see that happen, man, I was gutted to see Tyler, you know, Ty Scott not win. I was gutted to see Richie Escalante put in the effort and him not win. It would have been great to see PJ Jacobson win, because he was right there and he's like fought so hard for so long. I've been in this game since 85, right? I've been in this game since 80. I've been going to Daytona Speedway since 1985. I've seen like some pretty cool stuff down there. And I have so many favorites in the field for so many different reasons. And it was just good to see you there and competitive with a team and have those opportunities. And then just when those opportunities just don't turn out to be what you would hope for, it's gutting for all these different reasons. But man, we're with you, and we'll keep buying hats and T-shirts and stickers and all that good stuff. I can't wait to see you at MotoAmerica, and just all the fanfare that comes with it. So make sure that you keep some time and energy for yourself, right? Because you're gonna have a busy weekend, and then once that checker flag comes out on Sunday night, man, we're gonna do it up. So good luck at Barber. I can't wait to see all that. And then with everything coming together at MotoAmerica with the suit and the bike and all the energy and everything else, man, it's going to be a great homecoming for you. So good luck with all that, man. We're just like really rooting for you.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think you said it. It's like if something's gonna break, it's gonna break at Daytona. And you know, yeah, you get these issues, right? Like I remember Richie run out of gas like a couple of years ago or something at Daytona. I was gutted for him there. But it's, you know, the racing, it's like the highs are so high because the lows are so low. You know, it's what the lows is what makes the high points super great. So it's a blessing and a curse, and you know, I'm here for it. I'm going to keep chasing it, and yeah, I cannot wait for Barber and especially MotoAmerica. I hope to see everyone there. You know, MotoAmerica's got a phenomenal turnout always, and it's probably my biggest fan base. So I can't wait to see everyone.
Yeah, amen. Well, hey, look, man, congrats on the new job, working with TF Moto. That sounds super exciting, and everything else you got going. Everybody needs to follow Carl on social media. It's super easy to find. Just type in his name on all the different social media platforms. and go to the website. It's his name.com, carlsoltisz.com, and buy some merchandise, support the privateer. He needs the money to get out to Loudon, and he needs the money to get to Daytona next year. So keep buying that merch, keep pushing him out, and keep following and all that good stuff. And let's keep our Midwest privateer in the hunt here. So, but Carl, man, we're going to see you in a couple of weeks, man. Thank you so much again for your time. God bless you, and enjoy. Hang out with me for just a few minutes while this thing wraps up. And then we'll see you in person when you roll into Road America, man. It's going to be an exciting time. Thanks for hanging out with us. Everybody follow Carl and buy some merchandise, and we'll see you next time right here on Cycle Vision Network and the Exhaust Noise Podcast. Ride safe, everybody. Gear up and head out.